Present to the board.
I'm a one-woman show tonight.
This is Tamichak,
Yes.
the principal at South Central.
Hi, Michelle Tamichak. I'm the principal at South Central. This is my 12th year at South Central. I was actually hired in the district in '92 as a guidance counselor. Took a little break, went to San Antonio for a couple of years, and was fortunate enough to be able to come back. So I absolutely thank you. Love this district and 100% dedicated, and want to share with you some of the things we're able to do at South Central because of the support you give us. So why we don't sit down and get to work at South Central? So we prefer to think on our feet. What does Hemingway, Benjamin Franklin, Thomas Jefferson, Donald Rumsfeld, Charles Dickens, and the South Central students have in common? They realize that thinking on your feet can lead to sharper, quicker minds, and these very important people stood up to do some of their best thinking. So taking into consideration current research that we've come across, I decided to purchase 10 desk cycles, which are these things I brought in to show you, and then we have 5 standing desks, and those are adjustable. So the children actually have these either under their desk, or I'll show you some pictures, or in a reading center, and they just have a little heart cell. So the idea behind the standing desk and the desk bikes was to address 2 problems at the same time: academic performance and childhood obesity. It's been said that setting is the new smoking. Los Angeles Times recently interviewed Dr. James Levine, who is the director at the Mayo Clinic for Arizona State, and he basically came down to 2 sentences. Setting is more dangerous than smoking, kills more people than HIV, and more treacherous than parachuting. We're setting ourselves to death. He's credited with coining the mantra, setting is the new smoking, but he's not the only one who believes it. Research has found and continues to find evidence that prolonged setting increases the risk of developing several serious illnesses, types of cancer, heart disease, and type 2 diabetes. Along with this study, the science is showing us that a sedentary life, poor eating habits can lower children's performance in the classrooms and starts a cycle of health problems that they'll experience later in life. The majority of our children are stagnant as much as 80 to 90% of the time that they're awake during the day. Into adulthood setting for more than 6 hours a day can increase our risk of having a premature death. And then J.J. Vertay in 2008 showed that kids who exercise see a significant boost in their intelligence test scores and poor subjects compared to their inactive peers. So there was a research done at Texas A&M by a team with Dr. Mark Benden, and he took 300 students, grades 2nd through 4th, watched them over a school year. He originally was interested in marketing a stand-up desk, and his whole idea behind that was standing and movement would help with burning calories. And in fact, that was proven. 15% more calories were burned in students who had sat at traditional desk, but for the obese children, it went up all the way to 25%, just standing up and having some movement. So his preliminary results did show what he was hoping for, but a side result was that 12% greater on-task achievement in the classrooms by standing, and that equates to about 7 minutes more focusing per hour of classwork. Scientists weren't surprised by the results of the study because previous research has shown us that physical activity, even a low level, will have beneficial effects on our cognitive ability. So if they can't sit still, don't make them, is pretty much what we're saying at South Central. And I'm not going to go through all of this, but it was just another study talking about basically 9 different studies talking about some physical activity, either integrated into the actual lesson or a brain break, or those type of things that the teachers can literally pull on off of YouTube and have the kids, dance around for 5 or 10 minutes and then sit back down and get still. Our benchmark literacy program is very good for this to be integrated because typically every 15 minutes the students are rotating into new stations, and when I'm in the classroom doing observations, it might be quietly do an elephant walk back to your next station. Let me see if you can hop like a kangaroo. So the teachers will integrate some movement like that. So this is a typical hyperactive child. Oh, he was just there a second ago. So you all know that kid. We have a bunch of them over there if you want to come and watch. But what's funny about this is it's not the hyperactive child necessarily that's benefiting from it. It's all of our children. And what we found actually with our desk cycles, this is very hard for our hyperactive ADHD kids to do. To pedal and read at the same time is very much a task for them. The children are having disagreements over these things. They want on this so bad that it's actually, no, you had a turn yesterday. No, it's my turn. Which was really great to see. Even during indoor recess, the kids will want to get on the bikes. So I was trying to embed a video clip, and it didn't work for me. But these are two of my stand-up desks and two of my most active kids over at the school, a first grader and a third grader. And I don't know if you can tell or not, but the very bottom here, there's a kickboard. There's a fidget, and the kids can actually rock their feet like they're pumping, like they're swinging. And this little guy who has never sat still more than 5 minutes in his life, the very first day, the teacher sends me a message pop up, oh my gosh, you have to come down and see this. Seriously, this is the best purchase you could have ever made for this child. So they're sitting there, they're reading, they're rocking, they're doing their things. But one part that's interesting is how he's standing. Now they have stools. He's sitting on his stool. He's up against his. And so it's not either sit down or stand up. What the study actually shows is it's this. It's this L motion instead of a flat L that's helping us and is the logic behind this. When we sit, these muscles are shorter. If you're in a car for a long time, you know how your hip muscles won't stretch, your whole body is down, it's bad on your spine. But standing for an extended period of time, especially if you're not in the proper shoes, is also bad. So the kids do have a stool, and this L shape here that my little Alex is doing is really the best combination of the two. So my read and ride, my South Central reading support teachers found over the summer they really wanted to do these bikes. How are we going to do it? Do we put it in the hallway and have them before school? Do I put it in the computer lab? You know, what's the best way to do this? We wrote a grant for the National Elementary School Principals Association, but we didn't get it. But everybody was really excited about it, so I said, okay, we can do this. So I worked the little deal out, and we were able to purchase 10 desk cycles. I got these for about $100 a piece. They're normally $300. But they said that I had to promise that I would send them pictures and test results so they could use it on their website. But I was able to get 10 of the desk cycles, and we've divided that between 4 classes. So a second grade class has a set, a third grade class, and then it's split between my two fourth grade classes. Teachers integrate the read and write into the benchmark literacy workstations. Students have the opportunity to read while they're pedaling for 15-minute intervals during their independent stations. Data was collected mid-year in December using our benchmark literacy data when the bikes were first introduced, and now we're collecting that data again. One second grade class was the target to examine. Since that's that typical grade, we can see the most growth with that benchmark literacy. There's a large discrepancy. Most of them have those strong reading skills at that point. We thought that was a good grade level to examine. So one of my second grade teachers said I was a little nervous at first because they're so young and really need teacher supervision. But what she found was that they were more on task on the bikes than they are when they're sitting at their desk. And another teacher told me the students still beg to spend time on it. So the novelty was not worn off. So these are my test results from the class that I was examining. It's a little hard to see, but your handouts would show them. But a typical grade for second grade in December would be about a K or an L. So I had very, there's my students in that range right there. And then my end of the year results, this is just in the one classroom. About this time, they should be hitting about an M. And so the benchmark literacy definitely is, showing some of the growth. What is is it the benchmark literacy? I'm thinking yes, because it's a fabulous program that you all were able to support and get behind. And then the growth here. I will tell you that this little guy right here and this girl right here are learning support, and they actually are two grade levels behind where they were doing direct instruction, but with the benchmark literacy rotations, they're able to get caught up even with their peers to be on grade level for third grade. So I'm not really positive how much of a jump this will be to compare with my other 4 second grade classrooms. I'm hoping that the data will show that the bikes might have helped a little bit, But if nothing else, it's getting the energy, it's getting the exercise. It's, you know, I don't know if it's going to increase our test scores, but it's definitely feeling that. Pros and cons. A huge pro is that nothing more than really the initial expense. It's not something you have to maintain. There's no license behind it. The teachers don't have to be trained in it. They put it out, the kids know what to do. The bottom line is, with the con, is that standing is not enough. The desk cycles are great, standing's great, but it's just a step in the right direction. And I just want to thank you as the building administrator for giving me this flexibility and letting me have a little bit of freedom to incorporate some of these type of activities and tools for the teachers to be able to use to support our curriculum.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very
Very
much.
good.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
It's amazing that you're collecting that kind of data
Yeah,
to see
it's neat. And
student
I'll be
engagement.
honest, I went to give blood and they wouldn't take it. My blood pressure was so high. So now I have a Fitbit, and it tells me every hour, you haven't moved, get up and move, you know, time to get some steps in. Hey, how about a walk? And my teachers are walking around, and, you know, we've done a lot of partnerships with hospital, did our, you know, the walk competition. We didn't win, but we all had a great time with it. So it's just, everybody's embracing it. It's really beneficial for all of us.
That's great.
It's been
Good
awesome.
job. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Excellent.